What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Okay, let's do a little mailbag. Nothing too long. I'll get to a lot of mailbags over the course of this week. So at John Middlekauff is the Instagram. Fire in those DMs. If you're watching this on YouTube, fire in my Instagram DMs. You're listening to this on the podcast. Phone wide open. Holler at me. I've got this question a lot. Obviously, there are a lot of Bears fans who are very, very not just obviously down on the coaching staff, but question the quarterback. And basically, this question is, it looks like Caleb Williams is relearning the position. He looks hesitant to make decisions. Whenever he bombs it, it looks predetermined. He never hits it. He can't sit in the pocket and go through progressions. It doesn't help to play for the Bears. Waldron and the coaching staff are idiots, but Caleb is flat out missing guys. And this has been a question we get daily. And obviously after Sunday, when he looks bad consistently, people ask these questions. And people thought I was being a hater when after they played Carolina and Jacksonville, I'm like, I told Colin, like, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to anoint them after beating those two teams. Jacksonville's defense is a joke. Carolina, I mean, unless you're playing Dennis Allen, is going to lose to everybody. They are not very good either. So when they play real teams, they did Houston early in the season. He was overmatched because the offensive line's overmatched. You see him against Washington. He's hideous 95% of the game. He is very talented. But just in terms of playing quarterback, there's a difference between he has the physical skills. Anthony Richardson has a lot of talent. Can't play quarterback. Caleb's a better, obviously, than Anthony Richardson, but he's much closer to that than he is to just being a good player. And we can blame the coaching. I do think Ryan Poles deserves shit too. I love Rome Odunze. I would want Rome Odunze on my team. But if they could do it over again, you cannot convince me that they wouldn't have taken an offensive lineman at number 9. You just can't convince me. They got Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, Swift, and DJ Moore. And you could have just, I don't know, signed 2 or 3 undrafted free agents and let the cream rise. Rome's a good player, but that was not what they needed. They had a good defense. They needed offensive linemen. So the offensive line isn't good, and he feels rattled, and the coaching staff's bad, and it's all directly tied to each other. So do I think the guy's going to be a bust? I do not. But he's got a long way before we just call him a good player. Because right now he's not a good player. He's just not a good player. He's got talent, but when you watch him, does not play well. Are the Panthers having a historically bad 2 seasons? Obviously, in terms of wins, there's not much to cheer about. But in my life, I can't remember someone having back-to-back number 1 overall picks, which the Panthers are on track to do unless they put together a 2-game win streak. This was before the Saints game against the Saints and the Giants. Well, they won 1 game. Can you imagine getting up early to watch Panthers-Giants, which is an international game? I love it when there's an international game that is just completely irrelevant. If you wake up early, now if you live on the East Coast, the game kicks off at 9:30. But if you live on the West Coast and you get up, you're a sicko, a junkie. Because even myself, I've gotten up early, like the Jets game, the Bears game, but this is a game that just does not matter. It just does not matter. And as someone that does this for a living, I have a soft spot for games that just do not matter because I can focus on other stuff. I just don't need to focus. Like there's nothing that can happen in this game that matters. So basically the question is, it's hard to even evaluate the organization at this point. Head coach and DC seem like they will be successful, but there is almost zero talent on this roster. Where do the Panthers go from here? Well, I think I heard or read or looked I definitely looked, but I've heard people say this. There are 7 teams right now with 2-7 records. So the number one overall pick, we'll see how this goes. This is actually one of those games that's a huge moment. Neither one of these teams is winning 5 games. So whoever loses this is in prime A position because the Giants have already lost to the Giants lost to the Cowboys. They've lost to Washington twice, and Philly beat them. So they are currently they're 0-4 in the division. So I think it's fair to assume they're going to go 0-6. If you're the Giants and you're going to consistently suck this bad, you want that number 1 or 2 pick. Like you don't want to pick 7. What the hell's the point? We just saw last year. It's cool to get Malik Neighbors, but they would have loved to draft Drake Maye is the guy they wanted, and or Jaden, and they didn't have access to him because they had won enough pointless games. If I was a betting man right now, I would imagine. Here's the hard part about the NFL is I was talking to one of our producers yesterday after we recorded some stuff, and he's a big Commanders guy, lives in the area, and you can't just go win, win, win. That's a loss because the team's better in the NFL. Because even if you win 11 games, you're going to have some of your 11 wins are going to be upset wins, right? Where you're like an underdog on the road and you win the game. And some of your losses will be like a home 6-point favorite in December. It happens every single year. So, like Carolina, New England, Tennessee, all these teams, like they're going to all end up with 3 or 4 wins. So they are going to win other games, and not all of them are going to happen against each other. So all of a sudden you're like, damn, did Tennessee just beat Houston? Did the New York Giants just beat the Eagles? It sounds crazy to say out loud, but it literally happens every freaking year. That these games in December that you never think, especially by then, you might be like a touchdown favorite at home. Hell, you might be a touchdown favorite on the road and lose. So that it's really hard to go, yeah, we know all these teams suck, but which one of these teams has a massive upset that we don't see coming? Because it's inevitable. It happens every single year. A mini rant. The national narrative behind AR and Flacco is maddening from a Colts fan who watches every snap. As much as I and the world like Shane Steichen, he has not put AR in positions to succeed this season. AR has an average depth of target of 13 yards. This is easily the highest in the league this season, without question. Steichen likes to throw the ball deep. AR and rarely gives him easy completions and screens to help sustain drives and move the chains, whereas with Flacco, he routinely schemes up easy completions with downs, Pittman on screens, zig routes, drags, etc. All of that is to say, why would the Colts ever bench AR to go to Flacco this season? Starting Flacco may get us 1 or 2 more wins, but it's not like Joe is bringing us a Super Bowl. We have been laughed at the past few seasons for constantly having a carousel of quarterbacks, and now people want to turn on the future at quarterback. This is my issue with that. I hear what you're saying. I'm not trying to defend Steichen here. I don't know the guy personally. You can't throw intermediate and short routes if you don't think the guy has any touch to throw them. So why don't I throw quick screens or wheel routes? Because he airmails. Part of the reason I throw deep is because I think that's the only pass that he has the chance to make. Flacco has more touch than Anthony Richardson, obviously. So I think when you look at the situation with Anthony Richardson, he's the future. That's all we ever hear. At this point in time, no, he might be the future, but he's currently not the present. And as we saw last night, Joe Flacco might not be that good either. He's not. I mean, he's 39, 40 years old. Like, he has limitations. And this is where I think the Colts are in this awfully weird situation. They had no choice after what happened to do what they did. because of the roster. Because how could Ryan Kelly, Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, Quentin Nelson, they couldn't operate after you tapped out. They could not. It was not possible. Now, maybe after a week or two, everyone can take a deep breath, but they had no choice. So I think that move was probably less about the 44% completion and more like this guy tapped out in the middle of a game against our division rival. Like that happened. How do I look all my DeForest Buckner in the face? I mean, it's like, hey, DeForest, listen, I know you've played through, I don't know, 7+ injuries over the last 5 years, laid your heart, soul, and literally your body on the line for this franchise. But we're going to keep rolling with Anthony Richardson, who we're not winning with. So I think it was a tough situation. And this is when you draft projects and then you find your team being pretty competitive, you get yourself in these weird situations. And that's where they're at right now in this weird situation. The NFL season is rolling along and contenders are separating from the pack. The one thing that hasn't changed this season, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is the #1 place to bet touchdowns. I love doing it. Touchdown passes, touchdown runs, long runs, the tush push. Well, not today. You name it, they will do it. Bet on touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something as simple like a player scoring a touchdown. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. Here's a reason for new customers to do a touchdown dance of their own. I do it every day in the office watching football. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings app today and use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets. If your bet wins, you win. Bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Patriot fan from New England. Why is nobody in the media talking about Drake Maye? Is it just because the Pats suck? All I hear about is Caleb Daniels and even Nix. In his first 2 starts, Maye has thrown for 5 touchdowns and over 500 yards. The last rookie to do that was Dan Marino. This is all behind O-line. Yeah, listen. You're not the Red Sox or the Celtics. You remove Belichick and Brady, like you just aren't that relevant. Now, if this guy is good and you start winning, you will be relevant and again. But right now, we're not obligated to talk about you. And you become much more of a local product than you do a national product. And when you're looking like you're going to win 3 or 4 games on the season, people are not breaking down Drake Maye every game. And for example, you just played the Titans. Unless you're a Titans or Patriot fan, you do not need to watch that game. You just don't. Now, maybe at the end of the season, if I want to do something like let's break down all the rookie performances, you go back and you look at everything. But when there are real games being played with playoff implications, I mean, honestly, that might have been the lowest game on the docket in terms of importance of the entire day. And so it's just, you guys were spoiled because for a long, long period of time, you're right there with the Cowboys. No matter what, win, lose, or draw, we're talking Pats, Belichick, Brady. You were at the top of the food chain. You were like the lion in the jungle. Now you're like the muskrat, just trying to survive. So, like, this is what happens when you suck. Question for the mailbag. Do you think because there are so many rules to protect the quarterback that they seem to be getting softer and are becoming more injury prone? That's a good question. I think when you look around the NFL, the top guys, I mean, Herbert's hurt his ankle, but for the most part, he hasn't missed any time. Stafford's, been pretty durable given that he's been getting his ass kicked. Mahomes never misses time. Lamar never really misses time. Josh Allen never misses games. I would say the top dogs, Jared Goff's very, very durable. Jalen Hurts for running quarterbacks, durable. Kyler's been durable as of late. So I would say most of the top guys, Purdy. I mean, it's pretty weird when you see Dak's going to miss a couple games for a hamstring. It's not often that you see a quarterback hurt his hamstring. But, yeah, I don't know. I just think sometimes injuries with quarterbacks can be kind of random, would be, I guess, my first reaction to your question. What do you think about the Colts and the benching of AR? I think it's an organizational failure to give up so soon, knowing he was always going to take longer. If they truly have a team of vets that want to win now, then why draft him fourth overall? It makes no sense. Shane hasn't done a damn thing to help him in terms of play calling. Just as him, they just have him dropping back like he's prime Phillip Rivers. Where are the bootleg passes? I would guess, and this is where what I said earlier, is that Shane would say, I call bootleg pass and I don't have any faith that he hits it because we run him in practice and he airmails it or he skips it. He's not accurate. So, like, the accuracy is something, it's very real. Like, that's a tangible thing. Now, if you want to make the argument of, like, listen, we're not going anywhere with Flacco either. We might as well give this guy as many reps as possible so we at least know by the end of the year, like, is this something we want to keep doing or do we already need to pivot? Which I think would be a fair argument. But like I said, the moment that happened, your entire team turned on him. This is not this is not a guess. This is not an opinion. It was clear they turned on him. Ryan Kelly, the heartbeat of the team, one of, if not their best player, said, yeah, we had to have a talk with him. So, like, that, this isn't, they didn't have a choice. It's like sometimes if you're the CEO or a manager and it's like your employees are going to, there's going to be a mutiny inside the office. Like, you got to do something. It's the power is taken out of your hands. You either make the change to avoid the mutiny and avoid a riot with your employees, and in this case, your locker room, or you just risk everyone turning on everybody and the whole season being a complete waste of time. And to me, that's where they were headed if they didn't make Flacco the quarterback because of all the comments from the players. Now, could they, Flacco was pretty bad on Sunday night. Could they just go back to him this week and be like, listen, we've talked AR, everyone's met with them. We've done a lot of heart to hearts, but he had multiple comments last week. It's like, I don't even think he quite gets it, which is understandable. A young kid just doesn't quite understand what he doesn't even understand, which is a problem because they got so many like DeForest Buckner, Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson. Like these are pretty, Jonathan Taylor, like pretty high level cats, and you got this guy, this naive player who doesn't even understand what's at stake here and then also isn't playing well. It's a powder keg of disaster. And that's where I think they're in this weird spot. Like, if you want to blame the coach and the GM, have at it. You're not wrong. If you want to blame Anthony Richardson, blame him. I mean, yet last night, Collinsworth's talking about the benching, and they show him. Listen, sometimes we yawn, nothing we can do. They go to him on the sideline, and he yawns. I mean, talk about the timing. It couldn't have been any worse. Anyone that's played peewee football, let alone the pros, like you don't want to get caught yawning by a coach, let alone on television. Now, late game, tired, he's not playing. I don't even think it's that crazy, but the timing of it was like, God, I feel bad for this kid. He can't catch a break. But it is what it is. And now you got this situation where they're kind of up Schitt's Creek without a paddle because there's no way to get a quarterback. You invested heavily in this guy. And the only way for him truly to get better is eventually, obviously, there are things he can do in practice and stuff, but like he's got to get more game reps. And to give him more game reps, there's a chance that you just lose. And he just sucks in those games, which is a big problem. So I don't know, man. I feel for you Colts fans because this season, it feels like got away from you really fast.